Alright, so hello everyone, I hope you're doing well. This video is the following suite for the first video I did with the Chat GPT thing. I will put a link in the description and maybe in the video for you to watch. Basically it was me who saw this AI thing that was scaring a lot of people with their businesses and their activity, and a lot of people would say they would replace PT, personal trainer, which I am, and of course I went to check and no, it won't. I asked a very generic question, which was, okay, make me a bodybuilding program, and I would then review it, and it was trash. But one thing happened, and it is that a good friend of mine, commented and basically told me, well, obviously it was going to be generic because you ask a generic question. And before you call about the troll and try to insult him and say, oh, you know, man, come on, he's right. Actually, Ulysses is right. So today, we'll ask very specific question and we'll check the answer. And I will review the answer for this very specific question. So, first thing first, let's just say, you know what, my back hurts and I want a bodybuilding program. So I did a little call out here because I do not know what happened with the network or the program, but it wasn't working, so that's why there is a little cut. Okay, so if you are experiencing back pain, it is important to address it before starting a bodybuilding program. Here are some steps you can take. First, consult a doctor or physical therapist to determine the cause of the pain and any necessary treatment or modification. True, but I don't know for where you live, but I live in France and did also in Canada. And in France, if something is hurting, they will tell you for 2-3 weeks to do not do anything and to take painkillers. So, you know, incorporate exercise that will help improve back strength and mobility, such as low impact cardio, yoga, or Pilates. Yeah, but it depends on the problem, right? You want to improve back strength and mobility. How will you improve mobility and strength with low impact cardio? Like how would bicycling with low intensity would help your back, for example? Yoga. How would yoga increase the strength? Because the traditional way of yoga is actually fucking brutal. It is really brutal. And what we call yoga is what the real yogists in India are using as a warm-up. So, you know, or Pilates. Pilates is, you know, prioritize exercise that focus on building core strength, as we can help support the spine and prevent future back pain. Okay, but let's just say your back is hurting and something that is building the core strength is squats. Wherever the barbell is from, back, whatever, it's squats. But let's just say squat is hurting. How do you know if it is hurting because you're actually building your muscle and core strength, or if it is hurting because something's wrong, you know? Avoid exercise that place excessive strain on the lower back, such as heavy squat. Okay, my bad. Deadlifts or overhead presses. Okay, what do I do then? Pilates? Use proper form and technique when performing exercise to avoid any unnecessary strain on the back. That is true. That is totally true. How do you do good form on a stiff-legged deadlift, because there will be strain on the lower back? How is it going to complement your training, and how or what type of context can you have? You know, it's, you ask a question and then you have 8 more. Gradually increase the weight intensity and the weights. How long? How long to give your body time to adapt and avoid injuries? What type of injuries? Overuse injuries? Big traumatic injuries? What are we talking about here? Consider incorporating foam rolling or other techniques to improve flexibility and relieve any muscle tension or knocks that may be contributing to your back pains. Yeah, okay, yeah. Remember, it is important to listen to your body and prioritize your health and safety above all else. If an exercise or activity causes pain or discomfort, stop and seek medical advice. So basically, you ask a question and this thing is saying, I don't know, go check it with your doctor. So I guess as a PT or a doctor, you're fine. Okay, let's try something else. Let's say bodybuilding program in 30 minutes. let's just say you are very, very busy, okay, you can't train much more than 30 minutes. High intensity exercise that targets major muscle group, okay, warm up, okay. Whoa, hey, come back here. Compound exercise, 50 minutes, focus on compound exercise that work multiple muscle group at once. Some examples include squats, deadlift, bench press, pull up or lat pull down. Perform 3 to 4 sets of each exercise with 8 to 12 reps per set. Take a 30 to 60 second rest between sets. So is it telling you to do squat, deadlift, bench and pull up, or to choose one? Remember, it's supposed to just be 15 minutes. So in 15 minutes, you do your ramping set and then you do your working sets, and you only have 30 to 60 second rest between sets. If it was me, let's say to squat, for 8 to 12 reps, I can do 3 plates with like full range of motion. I mean, full range for me, like not like real ATG, like the butt touching the ground, but like below parallel. Do you really think I can do 3 plates, 8 to 12 reps, and only rest 30 to 60 seconds between my sets? That is not possible. Not only because the total work loading is really high, but there is also the systemic fatigue with squats, you know. And then there is the cardiovascular demand and the lungs too, like your cardio, like your breathing. It's cardio. Same thing for the deadlift, same thing for bench press, you know, like the bench press, if something is not okay, your strength will just go straight up, be nuked. And for pull-up, I mean, pull-up you could do volume work, you know, but volume work is not 3 to 4 sets with 8 to 12 reps for pull-up. Like volume work with pull-up is like 10 by 10 or 8 by 12 or I don't know, but not that. And then you have 10 minutes to do isolation exercise, so biceps curl, triceps extension, leg curl, 2 to 3 sets, 10 to 15 reps per set, take a 30 to 60 reps between sets. The only thing I like here is the fact that it says 2 to 3 sets. And it is true that in a specific bodybuilding context, there is absolutely no need sometimes to go with 3, 4, 5 sets. Sometimes the exercise or the nature of exercise is so much so that 2 sets are more than enough, or like for example, you're doing 4 exercises for the same muscle, instead of doing 3 sets for each, you do 2 sets. 2 by 4 is 8. Let's just say you work this muscle twice per week. 8 by 2 is 16. 16 working set of quality work per week is literally the golden sweet spot for most people, especially if it is a big muscle like chest or quad, something that is very demanding on the joint and the overall body. So saying isolation work, 2-3 sets, you know, no problem. But yet again, 30 to 60 second reps. For triceps extension, I'm going to give you an example. I can do most gym full stack with some little shoulder flexion extension move, but it's controlled, like to get more long head of the triceps. I can do it. Do you really believe 30 seconds or 60 seconds are enough for me to rest long enough to then do another set that will be of high quality, like the same quality as the first set or barely less? It's not. Or if you go that road, which is a viable road, you know, it's literally the essence of like strengthening program of like the Korean, Chinese and Japanese weightlifters program, where they are doing 5 or 6 sets of 8 to 12 reps with like a minute of rest between sets of like normal strengthening stuff after their main work, or like the 6x6 or 8x8 by Vince Gironda. You're accumulating fatigue at a rapid rate with a high density training, which means that you're going to do a lot of work in not so much time. But that's not the context here. So, and leg curls, let's talk about leg curls. Leg curl are an exercise that are targeting both the calf and the hamstring, especially if you raise your toes. So at the initial flexion, like the first, I should do that. At the first 15 degree of flexion, it is literally pure calf. It is like the gastroc. And then it is hamstring, and it is the only exercise where you can target your biceps femoris because it is knee flexion exercise. You won't do this muscle with RDL or squats or whatever. You need leg curling or you need some knee flexion resistance work. And the thing is that if you do it explosively, it is possible that you work hard your calf at the beginning of a movement, but then with a created momentum and speed, your hamstring are doing less work. And then when you're going down, you're supposed to go down in a controlled but still speedy manner. Well, the hamstring is not really work that hard. So what ends up working the most is the calves. So one way to not do too much calf is to not raise the heel and do like a dancing stuff, like being on a tippy toe. But then you're putting a lot of strain on the back of the knee joint. So actually it is better when you want to go hard on the leg curl to get them up. So what do? You actually increase the eccentric speed. You go slower basically when you're going with your eccentric. Sorry, I'm mixing things up. And what I like to do personally is do 3 seconds eccentric. And that way it works with most pulling muscle, especially biceps and hamstring. The muscle, if you're going stack and you are in proper position, the muscle can't escape the load, and in just 2-3 sets you're done. But you can do this for 10 to 15 reps if it's a high enough load, if it is a normal working load. And it's better to do 8 by 10, literally. It may sound too low for an isolation exercise, but it is literally what it takes to have a high quality set who isn't actually depending on your cardio and not too much on your pain resistance and actually on your muscle strength. So yeah, and then cool down and stretch for 5 minutes. End the workout with a cool down and stretching routine to help prevent muscle soreness and injury. This could include walking or light jogging, followed by stretches for the muscle you work during the workout. Remember to always listen to your body and adjust the weight and intensity as needed. It's also important to feel your body with blah blah blah. Okay. Cool down and stretch in 5 minutes. Oh yeah. Okay, let's try one more. I don't know. What can I say? My shoulder hurt. Okay, so shoulder pain. It is important to take medical attention, blah blah blah. You take a break and you try to do stuff that are not aggravating to the shoulder. It's true. Few tips to help you define your bodybuilding program. Avoid exercise that put a lot of strain on your shoulder, such as overhead press, lateral raises, and bench press. So basically, this thing is talking about the AC joint and the biceps tendon, which are not, are pretty common, but they are not the only two things that can happen with your shoulder. So it depends what overhead press, lateral raises, you can cut out the range of motion, you can move the arm angle, be more like this or like this in the scapular plane, or actually bend over and be like this, whatever is not hurting actually. Focus on exercise that strengthen the muscle around your shoulder joints, such as rows, pull up and face pull. Yeah, but the pectoral major and the pectoral minor are also muscle around the shoulder joint. Why shouldn't you strengthen them? Huh? What about the short head of the biceps, the long head of the biceps? Shouldn't we also strengthen them? Such as rows, pull up and face pull. What is so magical about rows, pull up and face pull? I'm going to tell you why. This thing is telling you this because there is a very big misconception with bodybuilding and training, and it is that you're supposed to do more pulling than pushing, and that way your shoulder will never have any problem. It is a very simplistic way of thinking about things, because that is actually not true. The problem is the imbalance between your internal rotator of your shoulder, so the things that make you do this, like this, or this with your arm, and the things that make you do this or this with your arm. And guess what? With rows and pull-up, you will be able to work on a big fat muscle called the latissimus dorsi. And guess what? The latissimus dorsi is an internal rotator. So you want to do rows and pull-up and face pull? Good. But actually, what you should be more worried about is the internal rotation and external rotation ratio of your shoulder, not just the pulling and pressing. Because if all your rows and pull-up are biased toward lat training, of course there will be some straps rhomboid and some external rotator activation, there will be some anterior serratus, and your shoulder girdle will most likely be more worked thoroughly. But still, if your scapular retractor, which are your traps and your rhomboid, if your rear delt that are trainable both into very high degree of internal rotation but also external rotation, when you're doing L-fly, you're also working some terminal fibers, very posterior fibers of the posterior deltoid. Well, it's just like a problem that is just waiting that this tiny little thing, and this tiny little thing can be stress, can be accumulated fatigue, it can be a little unbalancing while you're doing something, it can be whatever, and then something pop and you don't understand because you did all your pulling and you're supposed to have no problem with your shoulder, So yeah, nope, it lacks context. You can't just say to people row more and then all the problems are gone. Make sure to warm up properly before each workout to help prevent injuries. Okay, consider working with a physical therapist or a personal trainer who can help you modify your program to accommodate your shoulder pain. See, we won't lose your job. We won't lose our job. I won't lose my job. You see, even Chat GPT tell you ask me for help if you have anything with your shoulder. Okay, and I actually have taken care of a lot of people, especially male, that had a shoulder problem, whatever the cause, and I have some experience for it. So if you have shoulder pain, consider checking my online coaching services. Yeah, don't push through the pain. If an exercise causes discomfort, stop immediately and modify the movement or switch to a different exercise. Yes, without context, without being able to gauge or scale the pain or the discomfort from 1 to 10, and being able to understand, like for example, you're doing a certain weight and there is 1 week the pain or the discomfort will be 5 out of 10, and the next week it's 3.5 out of 10, so obviously there is some improvement. If you cannot be 100% sure you do this alone, you don't do it. You just do something that is hurting less or having less discomfort, and or you feel way more confident into your ability to push and just have a normal workout or as much as possible close to it. So yeah, remember, it is always better to err on the side of caution when it comes to your health and fitness. Listen to your body, and if you experience any pain or discomfort, take a break and seek medical attention if necessary. At least it is honest, it's like, it's not giving you some fake or weird answer. So yeah, I think we have done enough. As you can see, PT won't be jobless for a while. Still, even this AI is recommending you to seek medical attention, so doctors and even some physical therapist or personal trainer. So yeah, it won't replace us anytime soon. And if just like in the first video I said, if all these things are just like some kind of big internet database, and it's just about watching what is coming back the most inside this internet database, so basically the training programs that came back often, the article about shoulder pain, and they say, oh, when you have shoulder pain you do this and you do that. As long as the information is plain and basic, you will have plain and basic answer. So up until I can say, for example, right now I have a little tendinitis or discomfort with my external rotator, so this is very specific, it's not bench press with hurting, it's actually doing this or doing some BTN wide grip overhead presses, up until I could potentially ask, this specific tendon is hurting in this specific plane for those specific anatomical movement for this specific range of motion, what can I do? And this thing can give me a definitive answer and help me with that. No PT, no doctor, and no physical therapist will lose his job. So there you have it. I hope you enjoyed the video. Yeah, comment your thoughts. If you have any kind of other ideas, please let me know. I'm open for it. And yeah, I'll see you very soon. Take care. Bye-bye. The session you have per week, it depends what you can do in those sessions. And so yeah,